In the year 2000, John Pellin from ATV Scene held the Legends 2000 race at Ashtabula, Ohio, in conjunction with the ATV National. He invited a bunch of the old top riders, so Gary Denton, Marty Hart, Jimmy White. There was a ton of guys there. I was there to cover it with H-Bomb Films, and here is an interview with the event winner, Gary Denton.
My name is Gary Denton. I'm the Chino Charger is my nickname, and I live in Chino, California.
Okay, what's your racing history? Like, what championships have you won? Give me some background on you.
Well, I raced ATVs for about 13 years. I've been retired for 3 years. Championships I've won, you asked, I've won eight Grand National titles in the 250 class, 8 years in a row.
Now, what are you doing now?
Now I actually have a company called Denton Racing, and my wife, my son, and we have a couple of employees. They kind of run it. And I work for an RV manufacturer. We manufacture recreational vehicles. It's called Weekend Warrior. Kind of neat little transition because they have, it's what we call a dual-purpose RV. They have a ramp in the back, and you can put cargo in it. On top of that, you can also have has living quarters. So it's a dual-purpose RV. So it's kind of a neat little transition of around motorheads.
Okay. How'd you get started racing ATVs?
Actually, Harry Klim used to own a company called Klim Research, had a couple of Suzukis from Suzuki and said, hey, why don't you try it? I did. I went out and won. Suzuki wouldn't support me at that time because they didn't have a budget. Terry Varner said, hey, I got some money I want to spend. He bought me a couple of quads, ordered some motors, and rest is history.
Okay, out of all the different bikes that you've ridden through your racing career, what's the favorite bike that you've ridden?
You know, we changed them so much over the times. Obviously, the favorite bike was the one that helped me win by the most, you know, be a motocross, be a TT. You know, the Hondas now are so advanced in getting used to race Suzukis. So I'd have to say my 250R. Those are pretty much the most far advanced units on the planet right now.
As a racer, a lot of crazy things happen out at the races. What's your wildest racing story?
Well, that's a pretty difficult one because there's so many. I can't think of anything that's wild, right? That comes to mind. I'm sure there's a lot of them. Getting old, poor memory.
Is there anything that happened like in a race where you seize right as you cross the finish line? Or actually, I can think of one that one of the wildest finishes I ever saw was you and was it Greg Clark or Brian Fry or something at Mickey Thompson's, where with the steel ramp jumps.
It was actually Mike Poe. That was pretty wild, right? There's one. I mean, there's many of them, but that was pretty horrendous. We had steel ramps. The bike was bottoming out over the ramp. It was casing it, and the drag, and then the thing would one-handle. And it would one-handle somewhat. And we went lap after lap. Finally came down the last lap, and Poe was pressuring the pass, and if he passed, he got the win. You know, and it was going around checker flag, last corner, last straightaway, last jump. I just held it wide open, and actually it was a photo of the magazine, and I was going over the jump like that, and I didn't crash, but I almost didn't. And the scariest thing was that it was on asphalt, so you can imagine the repercussions of that if I had fell down.
So how is it being back and getting on a bike and going out and racing again?
You know, it's funny. The biggest thing, I have a great job, I have a great company, and I really realize how much I do miss racing. One of the things I don't miss is the camaraderie, the mechanics, the fact that, you know, you got guys like Doug Gus that are cut-ups all the time and stuff, he's doing funny stuff behind the camera here to me. Actually, just being here, the aura, there's nothing like it. And, you know, in a corporate meeting at the company I work for, you know, we go and do great things, we think, you know, and I work with a bunch of older guys, and it's a corporate issue, and they look at you like, yeah, so what? You know, you just don't get the good feelings from that. And I tell you what, this is really nice. Getting back on a machine, and I'm going slower and getting tired, you know, obviously, but it feels good to get out there and have a good time.
So I know it hasn't really been that long since you quit racing, but what's the biggest difference, or, well, you've been racing a long time, so what's the biggest difference you've seen since, say, you started racing versus how it is now?
I think there's more professionalism in the sport. Some of the numbers have grown. You know, they have 400 some riders here. I think they were averaging 375 to 400, but I think they got 400 plus here. So the economy's helped them, and the numbers have went up. The machinery has advanced a little bit, I think, to the fact that everybody's riding good machinery now, whereas you used to have top 3 or 4 guys were riding great machinery. Now everybody's riding good machinery. I think that's the biggest thing. The riders are probably a little bit more in tune, but you know, really, I'm out here watching the pro class, and you know, really, it was the same guys that I bang bars with are still out there winning, and there's some new kids coming up, you know, Ben Jackson and Elsa, those type of guys. But yeah, it's for the most part, I think it's pretty much the same. The numbers have grown and more professional.
So, other than yourself, who's the best ATV rider that you've ever seen?
Well, before, you know, I got into, you know, four-wheelers, and actually right at the time I got into four-wheelers, I had three-wheelers and four-wheelers. So I would have to say that, you know, and they went hand in hand because both of them were really good. They got a hand in both of the riders. You know, there was Marty Hart, Team Honda, and there was Jimmy White, Kawasaki, Team Kawasaki. And those two guys were the guys I looked up to as, you know, ATV fast guys. And they, you know, they were the guys.
All right. Now, been in the ATV industry for a long time. Where do you see ATVs going in the future?
You know, I see it progressing. The equipment's going to get a little bit, it's going to change, and who knows what those changes are. I think you're going to get probably more corporate sponsors coming into the arena of racing, and that's good. I think you're going to see manufacturers jump in fairly soon, just my prediction, but I believe you're going to see it within a couple of years. You're going to see Yamaha bucks or Honda bucks. In other words, they give contingency monies and to go buy parts with. And that's going to increase the numbers at the ATV level 100%, for sure. And you can see corporate sponsors and manufacturers backing. You're going to see a huge change, and it's nice to be involved in.
A race that we were anticipating for months, and we were actually kind of wondering whether we'd ever get to see. We didn't know if we'd get all these guys rounded out of time.
All right, so if you like this video, make sure and check out some of these other ones. I've got interviews with a bunch of the other top riders, as well as the coverage from the heat races and the race itself.